So, the very beginning of Germany's and France's history, their monarchies, it goes to Charlemagne, Charles the Great. And he was the king of the Franks. And then the king of the Franks attacked the Lombards and the Saxons and the Avars, the other Germanic tribes. So king of the Franks, right? France, that's where we get the name of France. And then Germany, both of them, I went to the German class, history of Germany, and I saw that old German. He's like, when Charlemagne, modern Germany didn't form until 1871. So to go back, for the Holy Roman Empire, I don't know. I don't know if you could actually say that Germans has been around, for that long. Maybe you could, because, I don't know too much about Charlemagne. I don't give a shit, actually. He conquered and spread Christianity all around. He's a weird fucking dude, but Christmas Day, Pope Leo III crowned Charlemagne Emperor of the Romans during a ceremony at St. Peter's Basilica. This controversial coordination restored the Western Roman Empire name and established Charlemagne as a divinely appointed leader of most of Europe. More importantly, it placed him on equal footing with the Byzantine Empress Irene, who ruled over the Eastern Empire. In Constantinople, Charlemagne would serve as emperor for 13 years, and his legal and educational reforms sparked a cultural revival and unified much of Europe for the first time since the fall of the Roman Empire. So, his historical importance can't be, forgotten. But he's an asshole. He's just a prick. He's just a fucking king. Weird thing Charlemagne's a piece of shit. I want to get that across. He's a piece of shit, right? He's killing people. There's like Battle of Verdun or something. I don't know. He was just a slaughter, and he was the Antichrist. But he loved his daughters too much. He loved his daughters so much he couldn't give them up. He would, there was somebody from Britain said, hey, can I marry your daughter? And he was so pissed off by that, he was like boycotting Britain because of that. Just because one of the kings wanted his sons to marry, his daughters. And some people would try to justify it all. He was, whatever, political reasons he wanted to avoid it. No, I don't think it had anything to do with it. I think Charlemagne was just a weird motherfucker. Just loved his daughters so fucking much. He was like Muhammad, Muhammad loved Aisha way too goddamn much. And I don't know. I don't understand. I guess in a way I understand it, but it's just, it's like, that's not yours. It's not your property. You don't own them. Let them live their lives. It's kind of like Hitler, right? Hitler loved his niece so much, but wouldn't let her go anywhere or do anything or be with anybody else until she blew her fucking brains out. Or somebody killed her, right? Someone murdered her. She's like, well, I'm going to leave anyways. Oh, the hell if you are. And then bam, right? Her fucking brains are blown the fuck out. So, he had a bunch of daughters, a bunch of kids. He wound up having like 15, bunch of them. He had like 4 or 5 wives, and had a bunch of kids after that. So he kept them at home with him. He refused them to contract to a sacramental marriage, but he tolerated some of her extramarital relationships, even rewarding their common law husbands, treasured the illegitimate grandchildren they produced for him. He also apparently refused to believe stories of their wild behavior. After his death, the surviving daughters were banished from the court by their brother, the pious Louis. So I wonder if that's where, Louis the 14th and 15th. I guess that's fucking France, right? Louis I, Louis II, Louis the 14th, Louis the 16th. So the pious Louis to take up residence in the convents. They had been bequeathed by their father. At least one of them, Bertha, had a recognized relationship, if not a marriage, with Agilbert, a member of Charlemagne's court circle. So none of Charlemagne's daughters ever married. His biographer Einhard claimed that he loved his daughters so much he could not bear to part with them. So that's it. He just loved them so damn much. He's like, you are mine. And it's kind of like, you don't want them to marry because you want to fuck them? Is that what this is about? And he's like, no, I don't want. And maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know, but that mentality is there, right? You don't own anybody. You don't own your kids. You want them to go out in the world and do well for themselves. So, I don't know. I think that there's some weird shit going on with Charlemagne and his daughters. And, so Charlemagne's a disgusting motherfucker. That's basically what I'm saying. And then the fact that he's the origin of the monarchies of Germany and of France, I don't know. So if you're around French people or German people, and they seem to love their daughters too much, or Muslims, or really just, maybe it's a human thing. If you're around these humans, you should be quite skeptical of them. Grimm's fairy tales. There is a story in Grimm's fairy tales actually about that. The king who loved his daughter too much. I don't know. There is a story, something about the king wanted to be with his daughter and she tried to fight and get away. But that's why I like Grimm's fairy tales, because shit was so dark and fucked up in Germany for such a long time. These fairy tales that they told each other, they do have good lessons to them, right? So if you're a child, you watch out for your, fucking perverted father. That might be a little bit fucked up. There's also Hansel and Gretel, right? Grimm's fairy tales, Hansel and Gretel. Their own mothers didn't give a shit. Their mothers didn't give a shit about whether they could eat or live, and so they was like, we're hungry, Mama, we need some bread. She's like, it's my bread, get the fuck out. And took him out in the woods so they would die. So be skeptical of father, be skeptical of mother, be skeptical of everybody. And so that's, these are good lessons. I think I will make sure Anne Frank is read and Grimm's fairy tales are read by my children. The Freedom School will promote the Grimm's fairy tales. The Freedom School will promote Anne Frank, and the Freedom School will also promote something else that I thought of recently. I was like, oh yeah, because Anne Frank is pivotal. Anne Frank is pivotal, okay? Fuck Hitler. If you're honoring Hitler, then you're not looking at all the Anne Franks of the world. But there was somebody else that I was like, oh, we need to study that person too. And she was, young. Her ideas are, I don't know. She's a genius. She's smart. She taught me something. She was talking about Peter, and he said that he was weak. And if you know that your character is weak or that you feel like a weak person, why would you not try to train yourself to have a stronger character? And so she had kind of saw that flaw in him and then wanted to sort of help him out. And I think that was, or I got something out of that, to be honest with you. So, Merry Christmas, America. And Charlemagne on Christmas was, crowned a fucking emperor. And Charlemagne's a fucking weird dude, so I don't know. I've talked too much about Charlemagne.